Enter the Eckrich $1 Million Challenge. One lucky winner will have the chance to throw for $1 million at the 2017 College Football Playoff National Championship Game. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Sweepstakes ends December 11th, 2016. Contest rules online.
Hey, college football fans. I'm Ivan Maisel. On the latest Championship Drive podcast, Alabama up, Ohio State up, Texas A&M down, and Baylor down for a while.
This is Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
It's election day, the end of one road and the beginning of another. Golic, I know you like to go early lest they should run out of donuts.
Obviously, Richard Sherman's offsides. He just plows into Carpenter.
I want to block the kick. I'm not going to let him make a kick.
I don't think that was a dirty play at all. I put that one completely on the ref.
The game is, not as fun. It's all political things of that nature at this point. You definitely don't want to take the fun away from him.
Now, here's Mike and Mike.
Here we are on this election day. Mike and Mike presented by Progressive Insurance. Our guests, as always, on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And it's a terrific Tuesday every week because our buddy Ryan Clark has made his way into our studio. Good morning, RC.
Guys, what's happening?
Well, the whole country is going out to vote today, and we're having a little fun with it here. We try to come up with something on social that we could do that would connect to the election. We're doing sports here this morning, but we are taking people's tweets on their favorite sports name or athlete that is the name of a president. So we got a couple of good ones here. Ryan, what do you think of this? We've got Madison Bumgarner.
I like it.
We've got Tanya Harding. We've got.
Not sure how I feel about that one.
Well, I mean, it's a good one. It's got creativity.
It does.
It's a comparatively obscure president.
Very true. That's
which
very
I rather
true.
like. We have Otis Richard Nixon. We have Stephen John Quincy Adams. We have Randy Lyndon Johnson. And then maybe the best one of all is Lincoln Kennedy. Because
that's the best one.
He's got a presidential first name and a presidential last name. It's going to be tough to beat.
That's going to be very tough to beat.
Yeah.
We love keep bringing them in, and we love reading them, but that is going to be a very difficult one to beat.
I'm not sure if you get better than that one.
Yeah.
And it just sounds good, too. I don't know if it's because it's presidents or not.
I'm with you.
It sounds really good.
And he was a large human being. He's a big one.
You really – I mean, I would – think that you would lean toward the large human being.
Absolutely. I loved it.
It's like, hey, you like donuts? Yeah. I like you.
There you go. Amen to that.
I like Harrison Barnes is not a bad one here. So keep those coming in, but Lincoln Kennedy is going to be very difficult to beat. The other thing that everyone is talking about, certainly from the football last night, is the play where Richard Sherman goes in there and blocks the kick. He is, again, just for those of you just joining us, and Golic just did a very nice job of telestrating the entire sequence. But to those who have just joined us off the top of the hour here, at the very end of the first half, the Bills are setting up to kick a long field goal. Sherman is well offsides. It's one of those plays which he and the Seahawks, are very good at, where they try and time the snap count while he's well offsides. But the referee doesn't blow the whistle until, candidly, ridiculously late in the sequence.
Right.
Sherman is into his block. He goes, he gets one hand on the ball, and in the other, he just barrels over the kicker's leg. It sets in motion a sequence that ultimately results in another missed opportunity by the officials. They completely blow another circumstance. The Bills miss the kick. They don't get the 3 points at the end of the first half. But the question everyone is asking is that a dirty play by Richard Sherman? What do you think?
No, I mean, he said it even after the game. If you watch his interview, he was like, if they didn't blow the whistle on time, I'm going to keep playing. And most times when you jump off sides, if it's not a situation where they feel like you're unimpeded to whether it's the quarterback or the kicker, they don't blow the whistle. They give them an opportunity to finish the play. So if you're Richard Sherman, you want to finish the play. And obviously, when you watch this, it's more about the look. It's more about the way you see him hit the kicker. It's more about the way he rolls on the ground afterwards. But he has to finish the play. He wants to make sure that kick wasn't up and make sure that kick wasn't good. So for him, if the referees don't do their job, you better darn sure make sure you do yours. And that's what Richard did.
Couldn't agree. And I'll tell you this right now. If he Were you an edge rusher like that ever? One of those edge rushers?
No, I was never fast enough.
But
or
I mean,
athletic enough.
I was on field goal and PAT block. You were a lot closer to the outside than I was. Okay, let me just put it that way. As I said, those guys are taught to turn the corner and dive where the kick is going to be. This is a rare situation where the ball is on the ground. I contend, and I'm telling you, this is my thought. If he dove at that ball while it was on the ground, he breaks Carpenter's plant leg.
Without a doubt.
I'm telling you, because you look at the plant leg down, just imagine him now diving at the ball that is being held by the holder. His helmet or shoulder hits right in the shin of that plant leg, and I'm telling you, he breaks that plant leg. So this is a rare situation for guys blocking field goals or extra points to be in where the ball is still down.
Yes.
He gets that left hand on there. He touches the ball and then turns his shoulder and does catch Carpenter in the knee. You knew he was going to hit him somehow, some way. But I contend if he dove for that ball while it was being held, he breaks Carpenter's plant leg.
So let's answer the following question. If, Ryan, you see what you see, and Mike, you see what I see, and you've both convinced me, I think you're both right. Why did Dean Blandino, who is in charge, the NFL's VP of officiating, say that Sherman should have been flagged for unnecessary roughness?
Well, maybe that's the way he reads the rule, that if they continue to play and this happens, because I saw it as well after they come out of halftime that he said this. I'm not saying that it's not a penalty. What I'm saying is not a dirty play. If the rules read that he can get flagged for unnecessary roughness even after being offsides, then referees make the call.
Right.
But we're talking about Richard Sherman and this play being dirty, this play being intentional, and I don't believe it's that. He jumped off sides. You continue to play until they stop the play.
But if that's
the
case,
didn't do it.
I might disagree.
There should be a flag.
How was that even intentional?
To me,
how was that unnecessary roughness?
I think Dean Blandino's wrong. I don't think it should be unnecessary roughness either. The ref didn't blow the whistle. You continue with the play until you hear the whistle, and the whistle was blown too late. He was already into his block. There is no way I'm flagging him for unnecessary roughness. That's all, to me, this is the official's fault completely. The official's fault.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. That's what I'm saying. Like, if this is a call you're supposed to make, then you make the call. You blow the whistle when he jumps off sides. You stop the play, and then that puts the onus on Richard Sherman to stop when you do it. But if you don't do those things, and maybe that's the same way the referees thought, like, we didn't blow the whistle in time, he continued to play. And for Blandino, I mean, we've seen this so many times with the NFL now lately. It's a league that's rather apologize than make the calls at the opportune times.
Listen, I understand. I appreciate the transparency of the league coming out and saying this was a mistake, that was a mistake, this should have been called, that should have been called. That in and of itself, I'm fine with. But I don't understand, and maybe we're now harping on a point that in the end isn't all that important, but it seems to me it can't be both.
Well,
it either is not, he either did something wrong or he didn't do something wrong. If it's not a dirty play, then how is it unnecessary roughness? He went after the ball and hit the kicker at the same time.
Unnecessary roughness would have been if he started off sides, they blew the whistle, and you clearly heard the whistle.
My point.
And then he kept on going.
But that's not what they're saying happened.
No, I understand that. I'm agreeing with you.
Right.
I'm saying, but that's how you can get unnecessary roughness off of a dead play, if they did blow the whistle in time and then he hit the kicker after that.
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see, because if that's what Dean Blandino was saying, if Dean Blandino, let me just try and connect the dots here. If Dean Blandino was saying that should have been unnecessary roughness, then it seems to me he is thus saying Sherman should have stopped entirely, because it isn't a malicious way that he went after the ball. He did what you would do in that circumstances at all times. You would just never be there that early in the sequence.
That's exactly
so if that's the case, then they're going to fine him, and that will be fascinating to see.
That would be fascinating. That would be wrong. But the other thing is, Greeny, because things are flagged doesn't mean that they're dirty. And I think that's the part of the league, and that's the part of us as spectators that we get wrong. Just because they say it's a flag doesn't mean it was dirty. A lot of time, intent makes things dirty. When we see Vontaze Burfict step on the leg of LeGarrette Blount, it's the intent that we feel like this is not a football play. This is not anything he's doing in the game that deals with the game or stopping people from scoring. This is you trying to inflict pain on a guy when it has nothing to do with winning a football game.
Exactly
right. So for me, even if he's fined, which I don't think he should be.
No.
it doesn't make this play dirty. It makes it a football play. You didn't blow the whistle.
Right.
There's no way I'm allowing you to kick this ball and get these 3 points without having somebody rush. Because after a while, by the time he was off, he was the only guy that had the opportunity to affect the play.
Right.
And he continued to play. So it doesn't make it dirty to me, even if he's fine. But I don't think he should be fine because it's on the referees to do what the rules and regulations say, and they didn't do that.
You got to blow that whistle quick enough to make him stop, not as he's blocking the ball and say, well, that should have been necessary. I completely disagree with Dean Blandino.
Right.
Should not be an unnecessary roughness call at all. And he did exactly what you're taught to do in Little League. You play through the whistle.
Yes.
That's what he
the
did.
The echo of it, a lot of times people say.
Yes.
Yes.
The echo, I didn't want to say that. That's exactly what it means. The most unordinary thing of this is this situation. You never are in this situation. A blocker of a field goal or extra point is never there while the ball is still on the ground.
Right.
It is about as awkward as can be on how you deal with that situation.
Right. I'm actually agreeing with both of you, and what I'm saying is then I don't understand how it is unnecessary roughness.
I don't either.
We're now getting bogged down in something separate from the bigger picture. How about the performance of Jimmy Graham last night? When they go out and they get Jimmy Graham, at first that looked like a bad fit. Remember the time when we were saying, Jimmy Graham getting hurt was the best thing that ever happened to the Seattle offense last year?
Yeah.
Well, that feels like a very long time ago after he makes 2 spectacular one-handed touchdown catches.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was actually fun to watch. It was enjoyable for me to see the Seattle Seahawks offense, which as of late hasn't been producing points, produce them in the way that they have. And now you see them calling plays for Jimmy Graham and him coming through. I mean, when you look at the hurdle after he catches the ball running across the middle, the 2 one-handed touchdowns that he catches, and then there's other plays during the game where he seems almost uncoverable. And so it was a joy to watch Jimmy Graham be back to some things we've seen him do in the Superdome in New Orleans.
It was. We all were wondering what was going to go on with that trade and when to get used, and coming off the knee injury he did, because he's a great weapon. I mean, it was always him and Gronk were the two biggest threats going on in the NFL because of their size and their athleticism, and you couldn't match him up. And he went to the Great Northwest and disappeared. But, boy, if they could use him like that, and then some great catches as defenders, I'm sure you've done that a few times, hold the hand.
Oh, that's the slick move of the year.
Without a doubt.
And they're going to let you do it. They didn't make the call.
No, they did not. On either one of them, the defender got away with holding the hand, the left hand of Jimmy Graham, and he just made one-handed catches.
Ryan Clark is here giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, half the cost. Back to something we were talking about right before you got here, Ryan. I think this is an interesting story, and it happens to be the Jets who are in this situation right now. But and I know people will say, oh, Greeny with the Jets. But it really is. This is a much bigger picture topic. So you have 2 star players on the Jets, Sheldon Richardson and Mo Wilkerson, who were benched by the coach for the first quarter of their game against Miami. Apparently it was for being repeatedly late to team meetings, and one of them, Mike, you would be horrified. Wilkerson apparently missed a meeting, in a position meeting, in which it was his birthday and they had a cake.
I couldn't fathom being a minute late to a meeting, let alone missing a meeting completely.
Yeah.
And many people will say he got this huge contract and has played like he's disappeared this season ever since he got it. But whatever. I don't even want that's my bad. This is not about the Jets.
Right.
This is a bigger picture topic. You've got a disciplinary issue. I remember Herman Edwards being involved in something like this once before. He had a player who was involved in a drunken driving incident during the course of the week. The league didn't suspend the player. I remember it, and Herman has told this story sitting here on our set many times. He said, I can't suspend you, but I don't have to play you.
Right.
So you're going to practice all week, you're going to work all week, and when the game starts, you're going to stand next to me. And that was his way of sending a message to the player. It was more important than winning the game. I respect it, but is it necessarily the right thing to do? Amy Trask, whom I respect a lot, and who worked in the NFL, who ran the Oakland Raiders forever, had a very interesting tweet on this subject in which she said, I've always wondered if disciplinary measures, if taking discipline against individual players that affects the rest of the team adversely is the right way to go about it. She wasn't necessarily criticizing.
Right.
She phrased it in the form of a question. because the way it played out, the Dolphins ran the ball right down the teeth of that Jet defense, which never happens in that first quarter. And it went a long way towards deciding what was a very important game for the Jets season. So, Ryan, what are your thoughts on the issue of player discipline when it impacts all these other guys on the team who didn't do anything wrong?
Well, I think Golick and I have talked about this. It was the Vontaze Burfict situation, and we were speaking about if the league doesn't suspend him, then we wouldn't. And a lot of times, that's how I feel. But for Todd Bowles, this is a situation your team is losing. Your team isn't playing well. 2 of your stars are disregarding the rules. 2 of your stars are showing that the things you set in place for us to be professionals are not important to us. So if you're Todd Bowles and you feel like we are losing, I need to send a message, not only send a message to the rest of the team, but to these 2 guys. You can't disrespect what I'm doing or saying as the head coach. I actually don't mind it. Listen, it's not like we expect the Jets to go out and be world beaters right now anyway. But if Todd Bowles expects to be the coach of this team going forward, if he expects for the guys on this team to respect the things that he is doing, I actually think this is a good idea by him, because it's a situation of, hey, listen, just because we're not playing well, just because you don't feel these games are important, I do. Now, I'm not saying that I would necessarily do it, but I have no issue. If I'm a safety on that team, I have no issue if I'm a guy who's making sure every time that clock goes off in the morning, I'm sitting in those meetings on time.
You know who else, quite honestly, who's the leader of the team? Who are the leaders in that clubhouse? I always go back to the team I played with the most. That wouldn't have stood in our locker room with the leaders that we had in that locker room. When even if it were star players, we had more than a few there that were late constantly. They would get talked to by the other players.
How so?
We're just that you're not backing someone up into a wall. Right. You're not at that point, but you're saying, listen, we're trying to do something here. We need everybody pulling on the rope here together at the same time, on time. You have that conversation. I think that needs to go on with other players in that locker room on what's the deal, guys. Are we not important to you for you to show up on time? That's disrespecting your teammate is what you're doing. And you know what? There's no doubt that they should be confronted about that. And I'm not saying in a violent, physical way. I'm saying, but teammates should jump into that and say, what's the deal?
Yeah,
what are we looking to do here?
Ryan, I agreed with the point you were making, which is a message has to be sent by the coach that this is not acceptable. I guess my question is there a way to do that without taking a guy off the field and thus at least indirectly punishing the entire team because these guys didn't do what they're supposed to do?
Listen, you can always take guys' money. I mean, that's a way that coaches use, and obviously the league uses to show players what you're doing.
I would ask this honestly. Can the coach fine a player for being late for team meetings?
Yes.
With the union not get involved?
Yes. No, without a doubt. There is a list of things you can be fined for and the amount of money you can be fined. So if it's Wilkerson, if it's Richardson, if these guys are continually late, you can fine them the maximum for every time that they're late.
There's a ceiling to it, but you can hit it.
Exactly.
Yes.
And there's nothing that they can do because that is negotiated in the CBA.
Yep.
So if that's we had a player who was habitually late.
Right.
And Coach Tomlin wasn't really a guy who wanted to fine guys or take guys' money. And so when it got to a point where he'd say, you know what, I'm going to hit you in the pocket, you knew you had done things to an extent that forced his hand. And so, you can do those things, but maybe for these 2 guys, that isn't something that affects them. And if he feels like that doesn't affect him, or if he's done it before and it hasn't affected him, you have to find another way to tell these guys, hey, listen, what you're doing is not only hurting yourself, but it's hurting the team. So I'm going to hurt the team along with you. I'm going to show you this is just how important it is to me.
I agree with that because that would be the route to start. But these guys are making millions and tens of millions of dollars. And the fines, if I remember correctly, now it's been a while since I played, they're not millions of dollars, these fines. So some players won't care.
Definitely
They'll give up the money. And as I said, this isn't college where you can go out and run guys at 5 a.m.
Exactly.
You're not doing that in the NFL. So then you have to find the next phase, and that next phase may be taking them off the team and A, to punish them that way or off the field, and B, maybe they'll realize now I'm hurting my teammates by not being on the field and hope they become aware of that.
And for me, it sends a message that coach is saying, you know what, I know we need you. I know it. I know that you are two of the best players on our defense, but the way you're behaving, I don't even care about that. It's more important to show you that what you're doing is not correct.
And my question then would be, just to finish up the topic, a lot of people will look at this and say, if this is going on right now with a team that had a big year last year and was fighting for its season, what does that say about the culture of the locker room? What does that say about the respect for the coach? Todd Bowles, who everyone seems to respect, he was a fine player. He's a person of like sort of, he just strikes you as the kind of person who commands respect when he walks into the room. Why is this happening?
If you are habitually late, that's blatant disrespect to your teammates and coaches.
And the coach, right?
Teammates and coaches.
Yeah.
As I said, yes.
So why? I mean, why is that? How is that happening?
Some players feel that way. Some players feel they're a little more entitled, can kind of do what they want, and can get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, we were, at this time, this player I'm speaking of, we just come off of the Super Bowl. And he was a starter. He was a starter that played very well in our Super Bowl run. But this was just, whether it was a camp practice or any different things like that, we've seen him miss. We saw him be late. And Coach Tomlin had to finally step in and say, listen, man, this is unacceptable. And so
did you finally have to trade him to the Jets for a 5th-round pick?
It's not necessarily about – it's not necessarily –
I'm just guessing
about how it would affect – I'm done. I'm not doing TV anymore.
Ryan Clark is here. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. I got it, didn't I?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No.
That was a great play by Richard Sherman, the way he came off the edge there. The whistle wasn't blown. Way to finish, Richard Sherman.
Our guests are join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. All right, I shouldn't have done that. As we continue, there is a 75% chance that something is going to happen, and there is a 100% chance that I'm not interested in it at all. We'll find out if you guys agree or disagree right after this word from Shell. Mike, the defensive line, they'll do anything to stop the offense if they show up on time for meetings. Those guys are modern-day gladiators just battling it out. And guess what else is a force to be reckoned with? Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline.
Yep, it's the best total engine protection your engine can get, period. So now everyone can protect their cars like the pros protect their end zone, because it provides unsurpassed protection against gunk and corrosion and superior protection against wear. If you think all premiums are the same, think again. And now for a limited time, all Fuel Reward members can earn rewards on Shell V-Power Nitro Plus. So what are you waiting for? The game started a long time ago, gang. Sign up free for the Fuel Rewards program at fuelrewards.com/ESPN. And do not forget to fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus. Back after this, Mike and Mike.
Both sides in the backfield. Here comes a 4-man rush, and Wilson's going to throw for the end zone. He's got a man, Jimmy Graham. Does he hang on to it? He does! Touchdown! Seahawks! Jimmy Graham jumps up and spikes the ball. Another spectacular sliding, diving, one-armed, it looked like from here. Reception by number 88. This guy is unbelievable.
That he was last night, 710 ESPN in Seattle, the play-by-play call on a night where Richard Sherman and Rex Ryan and the officials became a big part of the story. It was really Jimmy Graham who was sensational. 2 magnificent one-handed touchdown catches, and the Seahawks beat the Bills on Monday Night Football. Also sensational last night was Steph Curry. Sets an NBA record with 13 threes as the Warriors beat the Pelicans.
And the biggest reaction to that? I already thought he had that record.
Yeah, it turns out he shared the record.
Tell you what, me too.
Yeah, he did. He shared the record with Donyell Marshall and Kobe Bryant, but I thought he had, so he basically had the record anyway.
He has it now all to himself. And the new college football playoff rankings will be revealed tonight, 7 Eastern on ESPN. SportsCenter brought to you by AutoZone.
We're giving you a chance to be on the road with us to the national championship game. Just be listening every weekday for your chance to win the Mike and Mike on the road to the college football playoff sweepstakes presented by AutoZone. Visit Mike'sRoadToTheCFP.com for all the official rules.
All right, more of these tweets, again, flying in on Twitter with different presidential names. Again, on this election day, we're trying to have a little fun with it here. So what is your favorite athlete with a presidential name? Mike, how about Quincy Carter?
That's a good one.
Quincy Carter, that's the the very rarely used middle presidential name.
I really
like that.
I really like it.
And then the presidential last name.
That is very
Is that
good.
as good as Lincoln Kennedy?
That's right.
Solid.
That's right there.
And it's more creative. They worked harder. They worked a little bit harder.
If only he could take a snap.
We're not asking, give us good players.
I know. I'm sorry.
True story. For those who remember, you got a kick out of this, Ryan. You were probably, I don't know, like 11 years old when this happened.
Yeah.
But it was the first year of Mike and Mike, and the big story, Quincy Carter was the quarterback of the Cowboys, and the big story in the sport was that he couldn't take the snap from center. He was having trouble taking the snap. So I said on the air, I think I could take the snap. And Golick said, well, it's not quite as easy as you think. So we actually acted it out one time where Golick snapped me the ball and I took it. And I went in there to take the snap.
You went in there.
And Golick is just
he was a little uncomfortable going in there. I said, you got to get in there, man. You got to get up and
you got to put that pressure.
You got it. You
have to put that pressure. I didn't know where it is.
If you're not, you know where I'm snapping the ball? Right in my own coins, okay? So you got to have your hands there.
It's about you.
That's
not
exactly
him.
right.
I agree.
You got to kind of nestle.
Yeah.
in a way that I really wasn't excited about, and so that was one of the most famous early Mike and Mike.
And by the way, Greeny, I played against Quincy Carter in college too, and in the pro. So I'm
so he's
older.
way older than
I'm a little bit
Yeah,
older than you
you're
think.
older than we think.
Yeah.
You know what? The truth of the matter is that we are youthful and spry.
We are.
I was trying to compliment you. Earl Monroe, Trot Nixon, James Harrison, teammate of yours.
Yeah,
for
I like
a
that
long
one.
time.
Grant Hill.
Grant Hill. I like Grant Hill. Bo Jackson, Tanya Harding, Madison Bumgarner.
So I think Quincy Carter and Lincoln Kennedy are
The front
two
runners
out there
right now.
Yeah.
I agree. Keep those coming. Also, Twitter reaction here, guys, on the topic about benching a player, or in this case, two players, to the potential detriment of the rest of the team. At least, maybe we could describe it as losing a battle in the interest of winning a war, if you will. Lauren tweets, I give props to the Jets coach. They are part of a team. If one screws up, the others are affected. # no-brainer. Damian tweets, if a player is missing meetings, they are hurting the team already. The suspension isn't the problem.
Yeah, that's to me, it's not like the first time you're late for a meeting, they're sitting you a quarter. If this is habitual, if this has been going on, there are in the NFL, in professional sports here, the two ways you get someone is the pocketbook and playing time. So if you tried the pocketbook and they're still basically disregarding that, then that has to be kind of the next line of defense you use.
The other topic that we're getting a lot of Twitter reaction on is the play last night and some of the calls that were and weren't made, and we seem to see just repeated bad decisions being made by officials all the time, and Dean Blandino forever acknowledging that calls were made that were wrong. Jason Korn tweets us, when will the NFL realize they need full-time officials? How are they supposed to be good when a ref isn't a full-time job? Well, that's been brought up many times. Sean Payton, coach of the Saints, brought it up most recently. What do you think?
Listen, I would have no problem doing that if they wanted to do that. I do think we do have a problem with some of the way games are being officiated, but if this is all, if we're basing it off of one of the play, I know it's not just off the play last night. To me, that was a no-brainer play to blow the whistle.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have another job, no job, 6 jobs.
That when you've been in the league long enough as an official, you see a guy go unabated to a kick like that, you blow the whistle. So, but the larger picture there, we're starting to hear that from coaches, like you said. Sean Payton brought that up. Others have as well. It will be interesting if they go down that road. I know they're also talking about bringing in another official for more protection on the quarterback. My God, seriously?
Well, maybe for the games Cam Newton plays.
Holy smoke!
We need security detail assigned to Cam Newton on the field.
The other thing that the NFL is getting into, because it's so publicized, because it's such a popular sport, they have to start doing things to at least appease the people watching.
Yeah.
And so I think those kind of things, those type of decisions are going to start being made where to say, let's make it at least look like we care and we're trying to fix the problem.
So that's one of the questions that comes up, and if I got distracted, I'm sorry, but one of my financial guys sent me the note about a player we brought up earlier. Can we let Ryan make the decision on our list of presidential names? Does Ha-Ha Clinton Dix count? It's got the Clinton. It also has the hyphen Dix.
Well,
and does the ha-ha sort of detract from the overall?
There are many that,
This whole election has been a ha-ha, but that's a whole other separate thing.
I think when you put it all together, where we are right now as a country with what we're dealing with this election and what that great president had, trying to put this nice. And what that president had going on,
yeah,
I think is actually perfect.
I'm with you.
And
listen,
if we're going to include that with everything that it encompasses, there's no better name. Lincoln Kennedy, Quincy Carter, none of those beat that.
I guess my question is, since when are we having rules all of a sudden?
Oh, I think we need rules.
It's a person's name, and there's a presidential name in it,
well,
so it counts.
You know, Greeny, after we saw his athleticism at the Northwestern game, he feels like he can do things that don't need rules and regulations.
Without rules, there's anarchy. Okay, so we must be very specific about what we do and do not accept. All right, there is a 75% chance of something happening that I am 100% not interested in. I'd like to hear if you guys agree or disagree. Longtime boxing promoter Bob Arum says there is a 75% chance that Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather will fight again. The top-ranked promoter says he doesn't have any inside information, but, quote, I give it 75% that the two meet for a sequel of their May 2015 bout that generated a record $600 million in total revenue. Pacquiao ended his retirement on Saturday, winning a welterweight title. Mayweather remains retired, but was in the crowd for the fight after accepting tickets left for him by the Filipino champion and senator. So Arum says there's a 75% chance that fight happens. Golick, what is the percent chance that if it happens, you buy it?
Oh, I'll get it, just for the entertainment value. I mean,
well, what was the entertainment value last time?
No, I don't mean just the fight. I mean, like I said, in a Tyson's world, you bought the fight for everything but the fight. You saw what else was going to happen. Just for the show of it, I would watch it, and the least entertaining thing would probably be the fight itself. Who would be stunned by this? I said it the day after it happened. They're going to wait a certain amount of time, and there's going to be a rematch, and the whole deal will be, is Pacquiao's shoulder is better now, it'll be a better fight, and everybody will get sucked in, not to the tune of $600 million. I don't think that'll happen again, but there'll be plenty of people that'll watch it, and who would be shocked if this rematch were to happen?
Yeah, I'm
going
to pay for it. I'm definitely going to watch it. I mean, it's something. Obviously, we waited for it for years, and then when we got it, it was too late. And if they do it again, we knew it then,
but
right?
If that one was too late,
we knew it.
And what's this one?
We knew it was too late.
Yeah, we knew it was too late that time, and we still bought it.
Yes.
And Pacquiao comes out, he fights
2 years after it was too late.
He fights Vargas, he wins by unanimous decision. If Mayweather comes out, we're going to watch it.
We are fish on the end of a hook, my friend. That's what we are. We're going to watch this.
The bait don't have to be good. We just got to be hungry.
Listen.
There you go.
What is the expression? Said. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. Or it's the reverse. Whatever it is.
Well, President Bush said you just can't fool me again.
Listen, everybody, as soon as they put their card in, shame on me. Yep, I know. I'm a fool for getting it, but I'm getting it. Yes.
No question.
I'd like to make
pay-per-view.
I'm going to make a
every
list.
time with me.
If this was a different day, I would make a list of all the things I would sooner pay for than to watch those fight again. Watch those two guys fight again.
That's you.
That was one of the least entertaining sporting spectacles I've ever seen in my entire life.
Well, we've been saying that about Mayweather fights ever since he moved up in weight.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, once he moved up in weight and had to change the way that he attacked people.
He's not a great watch of his fights by any stretch.
We just wins.
And yet you have to pay to watch it, and you're choosing to do so.
I will pay for the entertainment value of the whole spectrum.
I mean, I'm going to ask to borrow money from you to do it, Greeny.
There you go.
And listen, if you keep being so mean to me, I'm not going to say yes.
Wow.
This all goes back to him yelling at you.
Exactly.
Ryan, a little.
So now he yells at me, and now he's going to play the victim to the people.
Well, you brought up my falling down at the Northwestern game. I thought that was
I didn't say
that was a cheap
fail.
shot. Well, I did fall.
Yeah, you did.
Anyway, okay, coming up next, we will fill in the blank, which will include a player maybe calling out his own head coach. You'll make the call right after this word from Sport Clips. Mike, Sport Clips Haircuts and the VFW have partnered to provide scholarships to active duty U.S. service members and veterans for a degree or vocational certification through the Help a Hero Scholarship Program.
These scholarships can help our nation's heroes receive the education they need to succeed in a post-military career. Not all U.S. service members qualify for 100% of the GI Bill benefits, and military tuition assistance has some limitations, so these scholarships help fill the gaps. Visit Sport Clips Haircuts now through Veterans Day, which is November 11th, to learn more. We're back after this on Mike and Mike.
Dave & Buster's, the best sports bar ever.
SportsCenter brought to you by Fanatics. If you love your team, a player, or your city, check out Fanatics.com. Fanatics is the world's largest collection of official fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and players that you love. Officially licensed everything. Fanatics love never loses. Ryan Clark, we love having him in studio. We're taking your tweets of your favorite presidential athletic names. But actually, Hembo just put together another list. I think you guys will find this fun. This is just called Fun with Presidents. Just some little presidential facts as they pertain to sports. You ready for this? Mm-hmm. There's actually one of them in the form of a trivia question. If you haven't seen it yet, let's see if you can guess it. Which was the first sitting president to attend a regular season NFL game? You want to guess?
No.
You don't want to guess?
No.
You don't want to take a guess?
No.
That's good.
Well, I mean, is there a reason you don't want to guess it?
I stand.
You want to take a guess?
I play along the fun here.
Neither one of us want to take a guess.
No.
Okay. What was the question?
Who was the first sitting president to attend a regular season NFL game? Who was the first president to ever go to a football game? NFL game.
I don't know.
I know you don't. Take a guess. I mean, they only have 44 people to choose from.
I don't know all 44, though.
Well, just name, but you
Does
know
that
one
make
of
me a
them,
bad
you name
American?
At least
You
one.
probably don't have to worry about saying George Washington.
Yeah, they weren't football.
I know. I know a few of those didn't make it, but in the middle
Richard
there,
Nixon.
That's actually right.
Is it really?
Golick is the man.
The greatest of all time.
Richard
Notre
Nixon
Dame education
was the first sitting president to attend a regular season NFL game.
Did you just pick like the guy you knew?
Do you want some other good ones?
Sure, yeah.
A little fun presidential facts. These ones are not in the form of a question, so it'll be a little easier for you
I
guys.
like that better.
Gerald Ford received contract offers from the Lions and the Packers after graduating from Michigan.
Yeah, good player.
He was a good football player.
He was.
And then finally, Dwight Eisenhower was once injured tackling future Hall of Famer Jim Thorpe in a game for Army.
Really?
Yes. Dwight Eisenhower went on to become one of the legendary generals and, of course, a two-term president, was a football player at Army and got hurt tackling Jim Thorpe.
I wonder if it was poor tackling technique.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was.
I'm kind of leaning that
Yeah,
way
I'm sure
as
it
well.
was.
Do we think that Ike went to the heads-up program? I mean, do you think that was the problem?
I
did not see what he was
I
hitting?
have a feeling he went head down. Maybe he had a problem with that.
What's that? It was 1912. I was thus making that joke.
That was the point.
Get with the
like,
program.
He didn't have a face mask, bro. So you get like heads up program.
Yeah.
Not yet invented.
Mm-hmm. The overwhelming idiocy of our staff never ceases to amaze me. The fact that Golick got Richard Nixon on that.
I actually knew it. I was just trying to play it off.
It's just pretty remarkable. All right, let's fill in the blank. We'll fill in the blank now. It is brought to you by Mahindra USA, the world's #1 selling tractor. The guys have given me a few sentences to read to you fellas, and you'll tell me what you think of them. I want to set up the Malcolm Jenkins question by reading you the quotes. So Malcolm Jenkins of the Eagles, and there were certainly a lot of people out there who were highly critical of Doug Peterson's coaching in the Eagles' loss to the Giants this weekend, went for it on a couple of fourth downs, and others. Malcolm Jenkins told our Sal Paolantonio, quote, "We're not going to win ball games like this being overly aggressive offensively and giving the ball away. We can't be turning the ball over. We have to stay patient on offense, stingy on defense, aggressive on special teams. We have to be precise in everything we do." That was perceived by many to be a shot at his own head coach. So, Ryan Clark, Eagles safety Malcolm Jenkins criticizing Doug Peterson's aggressiveness is
correct, but not correct. Right, and I say it's correct because he told the truth. Like, that is an honest assessment of any football team. If you have to assess the way you have to win games, but you don't say those things in the media, especially when you come off of a loss, because it's going to be seen as taking a shot at your head coach. So for me, it's something that doesn't need to be said publicly.
Yep. So I say, Malcolm, shh. That's it.
Is there any way that could have been construed other than him taking a shot at the coach?
I think it was. I think it was taking a shot at the coach.
Does it matter the fact that he was, in my opinion, not necessarily even right? I said it yesterday. I cannot criticize Doug Peterson. Maybe the play calls were suspect.
Yeah. The fourth down, you mean like
the fourth
downs? Okay.
But I agreed. I was watching the game when they happened. In both cases, I agreed with the decisions to go for the fourth down.
I don't have a problem with the coach being aggressive. I did have a problem with the play call. Is that where I'm running?
But if you reread that quote, though, that's every football team in America.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Like, he got away with it, but that's every line you would throw out there with a little bit of, subtext.
Fill in the blank. Next, Golic, the team that poses the biggest threat to the Patriots in the AFC is...
Well, I want to say a healthy Pittsburgh Steelers. What happened to them last week? Again, Ben does not have a great record coming off injuries. 2-6 now when he misses time and then comes back. I still think they have the best opportunity if all their guys are hitting on all cylinders with Le'Veon Bell and Ben, as long as they're both happy with practices that are going on. We'll get into that. And Antonio Brown, the defense worries me. The other heavy-hitting offensive team is the Raiders. With Carr and Cooper and that monster offensive line that can play in any weather, anywhere, anytime, their defense worries me as well.
Well, I'm going with the Oakland Raiders just for the reason Golic said. Like, they're a heavy-hitting offensive team, top 5 in both rushing and passing. I think Derek Carr is a star. I think he's a guy that can go into the playoffs and put points up when playing New England. And so for me, that's the team they don't want to play. The scary part is I don't know if they win the division with the way that Kansas City plays football. But for me, if a one-on-one matchup between both teams, the Oakland Raiders are the team that scares me the most in competing with the New England Patriots.
Fill in the blank. Golic, the 4th team in the CFP rankings tonight should be...
Listen, I will understand from the numbers if they want to put Ohio State number 4, but Washington's number 4 to me. And I've watched Washington play. I like Washington. I think Washington is being undersold. I like Browning at quarterback. They like to run the ball, and I know that's not necessarily... We always talk about what team can beat Alabama, and it's that running-type quarterback. That's not Browning, but he can throw it. He can light you up throwing the ball. I like their receivers. Their D-line, they get sacks without blitzing. The front 4 get sacked. Now, they just lost their best pass rusher. Hasn't played in the last 3 games, and he had foot surgery, so he's done for the season. But I like the way they play defense as well. To me, Washington should be in that top 5.
Ryan.
I agree with that. They're getting kind of that Pac-12 bias because no one wants to stay up that late and watch games. But when you watch this team, the way that they attack the ball, the way that they attack the passer, and also how they score points, this team deserves to be the number 4 team.
Next. Filling in the blank to the point you just made, and I need this one quickly. Ryan Clark, the team that has the best chance to beat Alabama
Louisville.
this year. I didn't get to finish the question, but okay.
There's no really more to say, is there?
Well, I was going to say regular season or playoff, because that would include Auburn.
Well, regular season would be Auburn.
Yeah, a lot of people like the chance of Auburn.
And then Clemson. Clemson is not getting a lot of love for the way they're playing this year. When you look at some of their numbers, they haven't won as pretty in some cases this year, but they still have Deshaun Watson. The defense is still good, and they have the way, kind of the blueprint to at least give Alabama a game.
So you agree with him? It's Lamar Jackson?
No, Clemson.
You would go, Clemson. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were just saying Clemson was a team with a chance.
No, Clemson.
Okay, fair enough. Fill in the blank with Mike and Mike, brought to you by Mahindra. There's one I didn't get to that I love. It involves a unique delicacy, which is going to be right up Golic's alley.
Right.
You'll hear it next.
Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans proudly supports Mike and Mike. Rocket Mortgage brings the mortgage process into the 21st century. Forget about digging through stacks of paperwork. This completely online process lets you safely share your bank statements and pay stubs with a touch of a button. Using your phone or tablet, you can get approved for purchase or refinance in just a few minutes. Get a custom mortgage solution at your own pace, whenever and wherever you want. So if you're looking to refinance or buy a home, check out Rocket Mortgage today at quickenloans.com/Mikes.
Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
On the latest episode of the Bill Barnwell Show, I talked to Daniel Adler about Week 9 of the NFL season. You can check out the show on iTunes or by going to the ESPN app on your phone.
The North Carolina Tar Heels head to Durham to face their fiercest rivals, the Duke Blue Devils. Touchdown! Coverage begins Thursday at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Presented by Dr. Pepper.